So, welcome to another episode of Rumble. Today, I have an interesting guy who's spent some of his time in Bombay. I think a lot of his time in Bombay, and a lot of it in Madras, and the rest I don't know. He's all over the place. He started off as a VJ for Channel V, and since then a whole bunch of things. He's Cary Edwards, and so let's get into it. Cary, welcome to Rumble.
Thank you so much for having me.
I just love to hear about this venture of yours where you're teaching women self-defense. All right, and you don't recommend women kick the men in the nuts?
Definitely not.
All right.
Definitely
so
not,
what's the basis of why they shouldn't kick?
I mean, getting kicked in the nuts, first of all, is when you take out the ego, it's a small target. It's a target about this big. Okay?
Yeah,
this is
right.
roughly the size of nuts.
Yeah.
And if they happen to be moving at the time, which you have to assume that they are, then what's going to happen is you're going to miss. And statistically, someone actually did a study and discovered that it's about 60% is your miss rate.
Okay.
Which means 40% of the time you're going to kick someone in the nuts, they're going to fall down like a bag of hammers, awesome. But 60% of the time you're going to make the situation worse. Because, I mean, let's just say, whether it's a woman or a man, let's say that, I had a problem with you in a bar and I was walking up to you, you see me coming,
Yeah.
and you go for my nuts because you're like, I don't want to deal with this.
Yeah.
Kick me in the nuts. You get me, you look like the hero. You miss. And now what might have just been an argument, I'm gonna freaking beat the crap out of you now.
Destroy you
because you try to, So it acts kind of as an agitator more than anything else. So more often than not, it's not a great idea.
And it's strange. Men don't really do that. And in the movies, I don't see them doing it.
Empathy.
Or maybe that's... Or maybe
Empathy, we know what it feels like.
Maybe they know it's a tough target to hit, so they don't...
No, I actually think that men don't kick each other in the nuts because we know what it feels like. And just no matter how bad things get, you just don't want to put another man through that. Yeah.
Okay, so women, do they actually get taught by other women tutor? women...
I've never been a fan of women teaching women, not for any other reason other than the fact that, especially in India, in fact more so in India than anywhere else, because we have this cultural hang-up about being in close proximity to men. Yeah. So if a woman were to ever be attacked, her first mindset is, oh my God, it's a man. At some level, there's a psychological issue that's happening there that they need to get over. And the easiest way to get over
just getting into their space is frightening.
It is. I did a class in Bangalore not too long ago. And I just, after we finished the class, we were kind of talking to the women. And I was talking about how, I asked them, I said, so do you see me as a threat? And they're like, no. And I was like, do you see me as a problem? No. And I just casually walked up to a girl. I just walked right up to her and she backed away from me. And I was like, why? If you don't see me as a threat and you don't see me as a problem, why'd you back away from me? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, because you're culturally conditioned to do that.
Yes.
You're also culturally conditioned to not look me in the eye, which I think is a huge problem. Because eye contact half the time is a problem solver right there. If a guy's coming up to a woman and she's looking straight at him, he might just okay, I don't want to do this. But what will she do? She'll look down, she'll look away,
and grope her.
This is when you register that nervous energy, and then you're going, hey,
so
easy target.
Obviously when you're teaching women martial arts, it's not really martial arts you're teaching them as much as self-defense.
Well,
is that what it is?
It's what we call women's empowerment. At least that's what the academy calls it, and I like it. So we stick with women's empowerment, and it's essentially 15 techniques that are taught to deal with worst case scenarios at every stage of an attack. So we have 3 attacks, so 3 stages rather. So stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. 1 being when you've got 2 people, like the attacker is coming for you.
Okay.
2 is when the attacker's already grabbed you.
Okay.
And 3, because no woman has ever gotten raped standing up. Stage 3 is when you're on your back on the ground.
Okay, right.
So we deal with techniques that handle all of those situations. So even if a woman panics in stage 1, she still has stage 2. And if she panics in stage 2, she still has stage 3.
Keeping your cool. Yeah. That's the more important than anything
Absolutely.
else.
And that's one of the biggest problems. I had an ex-girlfriend who went to one of these self-defense classes, which was quite insulting for me because I'm like, I teach it and you won't learn it from me.
You don't learn it from me.
And she was like, no, because if you learn it from your boyfriend, I'm never going to take it seriously. And I was like, I understand. And she came back and she said, oh, I learned this and I learned that and I learned something else and I was like, fantastic. And just when she wasn't, when she least expected it, I just
grabbed her,
reached out and I grabbed her on the throat, and her reaction was, and I'm like, where's all your self-defense now? It's just, So people don't teach the psychology.
The fear in every woman's mind is that I'll provoke the man even more than he is right now. So that's probably, even in the West, I mean, they're big, hulking women,
but,
some of them.
But that's the thing, is that, from a psychological standpoint, most people, in fact, even our media has gotten it entirely wrong, because I've read newspaper stories about how men watch porn, get horny, and rape women. What? That's not what happens. Men watch porn, get horny, and whack off. That's what happens. Rape is about control. It's about exerting yourself on someone else and just being the dominant force in that person's life and taking away all of their freedoms and all of their choices. And that's what it's about. It's about control. It's not about, from a psychological standpoint.
Straightforward victimization of the woman.
Absolutely. It's not, sex is a byproduct of that. But it's not the be all and end all of it. Everything starts with,
there are these people who do come and do horrible, sexual assaults on women.
But the thing is that it usually starts out as a way of regaining control. So, guy's having a awful day. He's got just a really, really crap life, and then he just needs to take it out on someone. So and a good target is a woman. So you start to beat up a woman, and you go, "Hey, now I can do her." All right. And so usually that's sort of the pattern that it follows, and that seems to be the pattern globally. It's
all not right, just so that's what Cary has to say about that. But we'll find something more. There are a lot of cases where rape and assault is happening in bars. So is it that bars make men a little more crazy? We just find out that now.